Midnight Facts for Insomniacs. I just learned something. Oh, I'm having fun now.
The caveat to the it's erotica if you're around other people and appreciating it is if the floor is sticky, then it's porn. That's not
you
good.
gotta have cleaning habits that are on par.
If everybody keeps it in their pants and they just look at it and they just get erect and then they go home, that's erotica.
Yeah.
If there's emissions, it's not.
There's emissions. Yikes. So, as you know, tonight's host swap episode is going to be done by yours truly, as all host swaps are, because we don't swap with other couples. It's just each other. The topic is going to be the history of pornography, but it's going to be a little odd because I'm going to be using often, and it's not a mistake, interchangeably pornography and erotic art, because in all of my studying, I couldn't really find a clear distinction between the two.
I feel like erotic and porn are the same thing, but one's for everybody. Porn's for the unwashed masses. It's just if you are a lowly plebeian and you're watching people bone, that's porn.
Okay.
If you're an aristocrat
Yeah.
and you're watching people bone, it's erotica.
Yes. Yeah. The other thing is that pornography or erotic art has existed since before we had language.
Did you look into what the first depictions?
Yeah. Yeah. And we'll get to that in just a couple seconds, but there's tons of them.
I want to know about the penises. I want to know about the penis graffiti.
There's so much penis graffiti. And it carried weird
I was
metaphysical ideas.
Penis graffiti.
And you shall have. I promise. I find it interesting that you focused on the penis graffiti and not the pussy graffiti, which they have penis graffiti.
Well,
Yep.
So my thing is, I think it's actually a lot easier to carve a penis. You have to be
I make that joke. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. You have to be slightly talented to depict a vagina without it looking floral or something. I don't to make it really.
It looks like an acorn. We have one. We have one in
can
there.
draw a dick.
Yeah. So we'll get there. But back in the Stone Age, there were depictions of both men and women, exaggerated body parts, and they were either considered religious foci, like we couldn't really tell if there was some sort of religious depiction of copulation for something that had to do with some Stone Age religion, or whether or not it was just some dude being like, this would be hot if I could do this.
So yeah. So was it something? I'm creating this for the gods, or I'm creating this for lonely nights around the fire.
and that's the thing. It's too old. We don't have any other reference.
Yeah.
And sometimes we did. There would be references like there would be some of these sexual depictions around places where we could see that there was like sort of an old plateau or like old burned places or things like that. He's like, it might have been an altar,
An ancient urn of lotion.
lotion. Yes, we men, we really did come up when we discovered lotion.
Some petrified Kleenexes.
Yes.
Whatever. Some leaves.
Probably leaves.
They didn't have brand names yet.
No. Kleenex was not a thing. So the oldest carving that I was able to dig up was a vulva cave carving, a carving of a vagina. At least they think it is, because that's the thing. It looks, and I got to mime this to you. I wish I could draw it, but it looks like an acorn. It's basically like, here, I'm going to show it to you. It's like this, and it's got a little cap on it. So it's not like on a woman. And then there's just a little line going up. And if you're looking at it, you're like, okay, I can see that if your thighs are closed, I guess that's a vagina. But at the same time, you're just like, or someone just really sucks at drawing plant life. Like that could be an acorn. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, this says more about the viewer than the person.
It's
who
very,
created it.
it was very, very Rorschach. It was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Crystal is saying, by the way, I was
Yeah.
told in my debate class that I took in college, if you're going to look out, watch something, basically, if you're going to watch something with the intent to please yourself, then it's considered porn. And that's basically what I was saying. It's like, I think porn is supposed to be self-gratifying. Like, I think to me, that's where I delineate. It's like, porn is intended to be spank material. This is for you to get off. And then erotica is like, you may be aroused by it, but it's not, like, you can't be spanking it in the museum, like it's,
can you though?
You can't. You're not supposed to be spanked. Duncan, how many times do I have to tell you?
Stop spanking it in the exhibit.
But I do think that's where a lot of people draw that line. It's like, is this created as something that you're supposed to watch by yourself and
gratify, yes,
and you're embarrassed about, or is it something that you watch with other people and you all appreciate, and maybe you get aroused but you don't admit it? Then you go home.
We all have wood, but we don't talk about it.
is it on are you watching it as you're doing the thing, or did you save it in the spank bank for later? If it goes in the spank bank, then you can't actually enjoy yourself while watching it. That's erotica.
Okay. I find that distinction so ephemeral that I'm just like, okay, bro, sure.
You can easily turn erotica into porn.
Oh, yeah, I
if you
have.
sneak into the museum at night. That's all I'm saying.
So, yeah, there was the vulva carving, and that was in Abri Casanet in France, and that was 37,000 years old.
The supposed vulva carving. We don't know.
We don't know. The acorn carving that looks vaguely suggestive. Whatever.
Acorn
Could go either
seems
way.
Penis-like. I mean, what you described sounds like it could be.
I mean, if I showed it to you, we might be able to post a picture later on Discord and you can see it.
What's it called?
It's the vulva cave carving from Abri Castanet.
This I did not think I would be Googling anything.
I'm here to help
with vulva in it on a podcast.
But here we are.
Cave carving. I hope I don't actually have to specify where it is, because I feel like how many vulva cave carvings can there be? But we'll find out. Utroba, does that sound right? The womb cave. Oh no, this is a cave that
looks like a vulva. No, that's not it.
I'm going down the wrong.
It's wrong path.
This is. Oh my god, the things that I'm seeing now. Here's the vulva in Stone Age art, and I can see kind of what you mean, because is that a vulva or is that just a cleft?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like there was I can't find it on there, and I don't want to take
it a
I mean, no, or it could just be a line.
That could be nothing.
Yeah, it could be nothing. My brain goes nothing, but I'm like, okay, cool, maybe.
That looks like someone started something and then gave up, and people were like, vagina. Okay, like I said, it says more about the viewer.
Right. So there were those, and then there's the Venus-esque carvings and sculptures of women that we've discussed before in previous episodes, and those were in ivory. I found the oldest ones of those were found in ivory, carved in ivory in Germany, and those are 35,000 years old. And then, as promised, there were walls of dick, meaning wall-to-wall dick graffiti in the. Oh, I'm gonna fuck this up.
Walls of dick. That's
Akyapa caves.
Every club I've ever been to. Walls of dick.
With just little droplets of vagina. Spatterings. Yeah, I'm here to help. Anyway, so the Akyapa caves in Turkey, the Taurus Mountains, they're those were another place where you could find walls of dick graffiti. 15,000 years old. And then
Coffee said Shane's about to ruin his algorithm. Coffee, no, this could only improve
it, honestly, because it at least looks historical.
Yeah, I'm like they're like, wow, he's really upping his game. This is what a distinguished gentleman all of a sudden.
So one of the things we also discover as humans is that as time goes on,
usually it's that cartoon cat from that other video.
Okay, your furriness aside. Can I continue the episode? So the thing we also figure out is as time goes on, humans get better at the thing that they're doing. So as time went on, we got better and better and better depictions of vulva, penises, and sexuality and sexual intercourse.
Thank God.
And yeah, actually, some of it was pretty spankable. I didn't, sadly. But there was some from Mesopotamia that I was like, all right, that's pretty hot.
Yeah.
Them boobies look nice.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad that I'm not stuck with Stone Age pornography.
Yeah.
Thank God that humanity has really advanced in the areas that matter.
So going back to what we were saying earlier, how it's easier to depict in art penises than vaginas. It's funny that you brought that up, because you skipped ahead to, there were actually there were several tribes and several groupings of people in caves that were drawing penises on men, women, animals, whatever. And it was more a sign of
drawing them
strength.
On, like tattooing?
No, like the pictures. So you'd have a picture that was clearly a female with a large boner.
Oh. So and it's like trans, but they did that with other
everything. Like anything they were trying to describe or depict with strength and fertility, they would draw that on there because it was just easier than, I mean, a huge vagina, you would just be like, and that guy's carrying a huge acorn. I don't get what's going on. So it's, as we said, it's much harder to draw a vibrant vulva than it is a flaccid wang.
It's true. I think a lot of the prevalence of dick vandalism is really driven by lack of artistry.
Yes.
It honestly is. It's just like, I could draw a penis.
Yes.
I can't draw anything else. The only thing I can, like, if I was going to vandalize something, That's the natural. That's where I'm going.
Circle.
That's all I got.
Line.
I can do it.
Done.
Yeah. Throw a little hairs on there.
Yeah, you're good to go. Typically a stream of P too, as I found as I was a kid.
You just do it as dots or little dash marks.
Yep.
Yeah.
All the way off.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's just easier to draw that and depict that and have that mean something when your medium is, granite and you have stick from fire to carve on a wall. Like you're not getting any sort of detail out of that.
Yeah.
But as time went on, we got, like I said, Mesopotamian sculptures and terracotta plaques and paintings eventually. And that was pretty cool. We found during the early Sumerian dynastic period, which is around 2,900 years before the BC AD changeover that we discussed last time. It showed men and women getting real freaky, and men getting real freaky. And it was good. It actually looked like what it was supposed to, as opposed to, because there's a lot of the early art, and really it just looks like two stick figures sort of squished up against each other. And you're like, they could be fucking. Could be. But now it's like, there's breasts and there's bulges and things and happening, and you're like, yay, porn. So,
okay.
Yeah,
So
it was good.
Finally, we have confirmed pornography as opposed to implied potential pornography that mostly it's wishful thinking.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a vagina.
Please let it be a vagina.
I want that to be a vagina.
So after the Stone Age and all that kind of stuff, people split off in various directions all across the globe, and we find better and better representations of sex, and there are continually representations of sex. You don't get away from it. There was no culture on the planet that was like, no, we shall stay only pure and only, beautiful thoughts and ponies and flowers.
There
and blah,
were, but those people weren't fucking enough, and they died out real fast. The horniest
So
survival
fake
of the horniest.
Yes, exactly. You outfuck them. You don't
That's Winning.
Yeah, on so many levels. So anyway, after we got a little, and I had to focus somewhere, so I focused on the Egyptians, and we get the Turin erotic papyrus, which is the one I was describing earlier.
It's like the Shroud of Turin, but there's a penis involved. Sweet.
Done with radiation and really cool stuff. Anyway,
Turin, is it Turin?
Turin. Yeah.
Okay.
Turin erotic papyrus. Ramessid period, 1292 to 1075 BC.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep,
okay.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Legit. It's the notes I took. What do you want?
Sure.
But it's actually really cool because they depicted the men in it aren't like, studly, masculine, six-packed dudes. They're like old, decrepit, like kind of Quasimodo looking motherfuckers with these huge penises. And the women are all nubile young women who are either inviting or forcing or is just at least interacting sexually with these kind of
so it's
gremlins.
It's basically 90% of life. It's like reality. Just a bunch of
highly realistic porn.
ugly, hideous dudes. Somehow, at least that's what I've seen on like TV shows.
Yeah,
it's like ugly, hideous dudes with gorgeous women. It's a thing.
Yeah,
it's everywhere.
Yeah, that doesn't make me feel jealous at all.
There's hope for you.
There's not. These are lies. I'm going on my 4th year of enforced celibacy, sir. All right. So, so there was that, and as I said, it did bear a striking resemblance to the Japanese ones. Did I write the notes in here for that one? It was called something like Shota or something like that. Shunga, Japanese Shunga, which you can look up and see whether or not I'm lying.
You should all look that up. You should Google
definitely
it right now.
Ruin your
especially
own.
If you're at work.
Exactly.
This is the time. Google Japanese Shunga.
But amusingly enough, the Egyptians, that was the only piece of smut or pornography or whatever you want to say that we've found thus far that the Egyptians produced.
Really?
Yeah. We haven't found any other ones so far.
Oh.
So it's kind of interesting. In that sense. And then, of course, came the absolute legends that were the Greeks and the Romans. And they be fucking.
Yeah.
And they be drawing that fucking a lot. They did it in like sculpture with the terracotta. They learned how to like basically make pots. And if you do it in a certain level of oxygenation, it does that red-black thing. And the red-blackness was a lot of fucking. And it was, like I said, it was considered good taste. If you had a home that didn't have at least some art depicting graphic sexual intercourse, you were kind of trashy and just kind of like, ew, what's wrong with you, bro? You spice this room up with a little bit of anal right over there. And like what's funny is it's true. But the funny thing
funny
is,
because it's true.
it's true. The fucked up thing though is that every culture has their own weird little taboos, and in like Roman Greeky stuff, oddly enough, head was the problem. Giving oral sex, like giving or receiving oral sex in any way was the dirtiest of the dirty. You just didn't do that, and you didn't depict it. Definitely,
they had dirty penises back then. That's what it comes down to. Is people weren't washing. You're not.
No, they were, but that's the Romans had. They had shitting with the sponge and the vinegars and the free roaming water on your bung bung.
I'm not blowing a Roman. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, I'm not throwing my hat in the ring. Just saying.
It's like, I would have absolutely, if I'm going to blow someone, it's going to be a goddamn Roman. It's going to be Caligula.
It's going to be. Because anywhere else, you're like, where, what, why have you been?
And I mean, Romans in Greek times, there was a lot of bisexual.
Oh yeah,
bisexuality.
I mean, there was pederasty was rather accepted, which is sad.
Well, it depends on the culture, but yeah, I mean, Sparta
mostly in Roman Sparta, but anywhere in Rome. As soon as the empire was around, Rome was good with it. Lots of Greek cultures were good with it.
Like contextually, I think they weren't just like okay. Yeah,
sure. Go out to the theater, a little pederasty, and watch the end of the movie.
If you say so. I don't know.
I mean, it was everywhere. Anyway, the whole point is, oral sex and oddly enough, bestiality. Like they were willing to do all this other crazy shit, but if you were fucking a cow, something was wrong with you. So at least they had partially good taste.
Oh, they didn't like bestiality.
No, bestiality was a no-no.
Wait. What about? I was always thinking. First off, the Greeks. Very much into Zeus turning into animals and banging all kinds of ladies.
Yep.
And I guess that's not bestiality because he's really a god.
Human god-ish god.
But he's in the form of an animal banging a woman.
Yep.
So I think that's bestiality.
There's weird overlaps. I'm not going to say there isn't, because this is the thing with sexuality in general is we will find ways to rationalize crazy into sexy. And that's just what we're going to do because that's what we do. And
it sounds like a you problem.
I mean,
Duncan's like, I will find ways to rationalize.
Look, sheep aren't for everyone, okay?
but they're
for me.
There you go. And bulls and the worst to me in Greek was ducks.
The swans.
The swan, like that is weird. I can understand if you're like it's a bull and it's so virile, but a duck or like a swan, it's not virile at all. I would no. As a woman, I just would not understand it. Do any ladies want to bone a bird? Anyone ever have a bird fantasy? I could understand a horse, dog. I could understand anything. Maybe you're some weird night and you're just like, I don't know. I'm just thinking about gerbils. That was just dudes.
That was
dudes, and it's
We're not going to touch
just
that.
Richard Gere.
Which is all a lie.
We're not going to touch that. Literally, we're not going to touch it.
No. So anyway, that was sort of the Greeks and Roman era, and that was great. And then
everyone's very upset with where we're going.
But then if you go across the pond, you get the Peruvian folk, the Moche, Moche, and they were carving seriously graphic depictions and sculpting it on their like pots and water vessels and stuff like that, cups and shit.
The Greeks did that, yeah.
Well, no, but these are like is bad, and they had oral sex on there. They were fully into it. No matter what it was, go for it.
Good, I like them better.
Yeah, it's very equal.
That's where I draw the line. Is if you will not do the oral sex at all, I'm not going to be a part of your culture.
Stupid so-called culture.
I know where time machines are going now, or at least the geography of my time machine.
Yeah, where you visit has a lot to do with. You know what? I'm not going to say that part. We're going to move on. So they did this in part, especially when they were doing the offerings for the dead folk. They were putting it because they thought that their land of the dead was a complete opposite of the land of the living. So they would put these acts on their pots and stuff like that they were also giving to the dead folk. They were like leaving with them so that they would have fertility in the afterlife. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but they were like, sure. Pornography in the afterlife means you are virile. You're virile now.
Speaking of, Crystal said that I think the bestiality was a fertility thing. It represented fertility, which, okay, I guess. People also talking about barbed penises and corkscrew penises, which, yes, another reason to not practice bestiality. Many reasons that you should not do that.
So many.
But one of them is like very practical and logistical, which is, it might not fit or it might hurt.
It'll probably hurt.
Both you and the other creature, too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't do
I
it.
mean, the sheep don't seem to mind, but they
we
don't
take
notice.
a strong anti-bestiality
Yeah, we
stance on this
We do.
podcast.
We do try not to kink shame, but if you're fucking animals, they can't.
It's
they
not
can't.
a kink. It's a felony. Yeah.
Not all kinks are felonies, but not all felonies are kinks. Shit.
Yeah, and rabies and foot and mouth. Thank you.
Yeah.
those
Old
two.
hoof and mouth disease.
Something in mouth. It's all bad.
All bad. So
Corkscrew in mouth.
corkscrew in mouth. And then, you bounce around you just keep going, west, and you will eventually hit India again. And then you have the Kama Sutra, and they were big into that. They were a massively sexually permissive philosophy. They actually thought of sexual arousal as a kind of spiritual waking and like a spiritual energy that you needed to have and you needed to harness, but was good.
And is Tantra coming up? Is that?
Oh yeah, no, that was
okay.
that was what Kama Sutra was all about. Was teaching you to harness that energy, and Tantric was just a highly specialization of that.
Yeah, the peak form of Tantra is sting.
Yeah,
Sting's.
How did I know you were going to go there?
Yeah, he does.
Like I know one Tantra. It's a string. Sting there.
He will not ejaculate for a long time. Yeah. He's all about edging. Tantra's very into edging. Just
you're speaking as
conserve the juices.
Very
until
educated
the last
man on this.
second, and then when you're like, "Oops, I didn't conserve."
Oops,
spilled the juices.
Again.
Where did we think this was going to go?
I didn't.
This was going to be a
bad one,
an absolute clusterfuck,
absolutely,
so to speak. Yeah.
And speaking of clusterfucks, no. Again, bouncing around in Southeast Asia, you had Japan, China, Korea. Oddly enough, places in China and places in Japan, places in sort of the Southeast Asia, like Thailand, all that stuff, they go in and out of banning pornography or pornographic stuff. Like there were some emperors and some shoguns and stuff that declared certain kinds of depictions of sexuality taboo and off with your nuts because of it. And there would be times where it was totally fine and people were just like,
it's just everyone's taste. If you're the shogun, you get to decide, and you're like, no, doggy.
No,
I don't like
style.
it.
No, it's not for it.
Not cool.
It's very, very against the women. And then right around there, going back around the world, we get the Dark Ages, which is more just really the collapse of the Roman Empire. And people thought that everything went away forever and ever, or at least a few hundred years or 100 years or whatever. But actually, the Dark Ages, they're finding out, had just because the Roman Empire collapsed didn't mean that everywhere suddenly went dark. It was actually just sort of a slow decline. People just stopped communicating as well. The roads went away. People weren't communicating as much. So they weren't ordering as much shit. And that's how the old scholars kept track of the empire and how society was flourishing.
Yeah, you're saying basically the Dark Ages have been sort of reevaluated because the connotation of the Dark Ages was that it was like a time where there was no culture, everything just kind of...
It was just disease and death and people trying to live hand to mouth. Yeah.
But no, it's more like a dark age as far as like a dark part of history that is just we don't know as much about it as we know about other eras.
Right. But one thing we damn sure know is there wasn't a lot of porn that we can find.
I mean, thank God people were still boning.
Yeah.
Because otherwise Dark Ages would have been the end.
Been the end, and also really boring. And we don't appreciate that. Sex is good. Sex is good, natural.
Mm-hmm.
So saith the George Michael.
I know. I was about to say, are you really just going to do the whole song?
No.
It's fun. Although George Michael very weirdly got he says sex is best when it's one-on-one. Mm-hmm. He got weirdly puritanical in that song.
At the end.
Yeah. It's just he threw that in there. He's all like, by the way, no orgies. Sex is
maybe
zesty.
Just ADE.
I think he says zesty. He says it's fun. Maybe I made that up, but he definitely says it's fun.
Yeah.
And then he's like, sex is because he rhymes it. And he says sex is best when it's one-on-one. It's just like, George, why are you just throwing in your own? It's just like the Shogun. George all of a sudden had to throw his own little fucking weirdness in there and just be like, no.
I mean, maybe just ADD
no
and he couldn't
threesomes.
Concentrate. He was like, it's best for me if it's one-on-one.
But he should say sex is best for me when it's
one-on-one. Rhyme as well.
sex is zesty. Sex is fun. Sex is best for me when it's one-on-one.
Yes.
But that would have been
too many syllables.
Yeah, but it also would have been less objectionable and less preachy. Fuck you, George Michael. Wait, he's dead. I feel bad.
Oh, wow.
My bad. I like George Michael.
Okay, we're moving on. But anyway, so it was a kind of a dark period. It was an actual dark period of no porn, no writings really of any kind.
Well, that's what Crystal said. during the Dark Ages is when sex became more taboo, causing it to be less publicized in art due to the rise of Christianity. And that's, post year 0, post year 33, I guess, was when, like the Christians started rising. And that didn't go great for pornography.
Yeah.
For eroticism.
But that's also near the end of the the Roman Empire crash. And then after that was when the real Dark Ages were. But yes, you're right. The rise of heavy Christianity, even Abrahamic religiosity, or the Moorish faiths, those kind of stuff, those were all wherever you get intense religion, you get weird constrictions and constraints on and repression on sexuality.
It's happening. It's just no one's talking about it, and it gets real weird. Shit gets real weird and real kinky.
Yeah,
but no one's talking about it. No one's depicting it, and everyone's just doing it in the dark at night. Real
no candles.
Deep,
in real deep. Wow. Okay.
real deep under covers.
Oh, covers. I missed the covers part. I was like, damn. So there was the first true considered pornography was called Imodi, which is the way, and it was the first combination of explicit poetry and explicit art. And this guy named Pietro Aretino.
Fucking Italians.
Yeah, they were fucking Italians a lot.
Everyone's fucking Italians. Those lucky Italians.
But they were considered. He was considered the founder or one of the founders of pornography, in historically speaking.
Sweet.
And he coupled up some of his poetry with Giuliero Romano, and they were paired together, and it started to kind of sell. And then the Pope, Pope Clement VII, came down on a ton of bricks, and people kept trying to burn it or get it destroyed. But it eventually got out there, and now there are copies around that are worth bajillions of monies, and it's supposedly great money.
This was
great art.
Pre-printing press.
Yes.
Okay, so were people who was drawing all the who was creating the copies of it? Were these?
Oh wait, no. This was after Johannes Gutenberg, but it was still very, very, very early in that process.
Okay, so
you could get the roly printy going, but
sweet.
you couldn't. Yeah, sorry. I was getting my history all screwy. So anyway, the Gutenberg Bible and the printing press obviously made things easier to get.
I love that because the printing press was very good for spreading the word of Jesus.
Yep.
And also dicks. Lots of dicks.
And vaginas.
But it's easier to make dicks.
Man.
Because as June pointed out, that pic of the first vulva is a horseshoe crab. Totally could be. It looks like the front of a... Yeah.
I don't know. It's whatever you see, because we already talked about it. That is the vulva of a
horseshoe crab.
What's the ink
is it
blots?
A vagina of a horseshoe crab?
What's the ink blots?
Oh, Rorschach?
Rorschach, yes. The vulva of Rorschach is what that is. Thank you, Joke, for finally coming to me.
That took a while.
Oh, boy. It had to be born, but slow. Very slow.
You can let those go.
Yeah, I should, probably.
If it don't come easy, you gotta let it go.
Yeah. But as the Gutenberg Bible started making, if not easier, because you still cost a shit ton of money to buy books. It still cost a shit ton of money to even buy paper. Wasn't still that available.
Oh, yeah.
And so it was still pretty expensive, but you got more and more out there. And as that started going on, you actually started getting real authors in it. Like that's where you get the Marquis de Sade, and you get John Cleland of Great Britain writing Fanny Hill, a book that was actually banned in America until 1963 and in the UK until 1970 still, even though it was produced back way, way back, because and it was considered taboo at the time because it depicted a woman having gratifying sex and having no major backlash. Like she didn't really get in trouble.
What is happening to the world? Women are out here
having orgasms,
gratifying themselves, and I'm clutching my pearls.
I am. Your pearl necklace.
You beat me too.
Yep. That close. And so, after that, finally we got the, I'm going to missay this word, the daguerreotype cameras. Is that how you say that?
Well, sure.
And that was when the bouncing around between the French art college to the government and then to selling it, they started to outlaw it because they're like, no, we're on to you. These pictures are just porn. Like they're not actually art anymore.
Because then you could look at it in your own house. They didn't like that. They didn't want you to have it in where you could pleasure yourself because that's porn.
Right.
If you watch it alone in your house and you're doing naughty things, that's porn. You got to watch. You got to be horny around everyone else.
Right.
That's what's normal and that's
safe
what God
and good.
wants.
Yes.
He wants you to be erect around other humans. Within, touching
5 to 10 feet.
distance,
Yeah.
within harassing distance.
Yes. They should know that you are erect.
Everyone should be uncomfortable together, damn it.
Damn it.
Like God intended.
So
Aroused and uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable. Trying to hide it. Women slipping off their seats. So the
everyone's asking about the first pornographic videos, and I assume that's coming up.
Oh yeah, no, that's coming, but we're still back in the 16, 17, 1800s.
We're at daguerreotypes. We haven't gotten there yet.
No. We haven't even gotten to real.
But
pictures.
if you put a bunch of daguerreotypes in a row and they depict the next step in process, and then you look real fast or you flip, then you can
give yourself whiplash. But woo, you get some good porn.
That's basically a video.
It's just watching a bunch of people in my head going.
I'm telling you, the first Pornhub was just a flip book.
Yeah.
That was what they had.
Yeah. So, oh yeah.
Sarah Fine says, if pornography is forbidden, is it more titillating than when it's acceptable? That's an interesting. I mean, that's subjective, but it's an interesting question.
Yeah, and I think this is one of the things that I ran into was like, there are so many studies showing that the more shame you heap on a certain thing, then
kink.
You get
more and more
deep and weird kinks. Yeah,
that's
yeah. Like once we actually get to the right after the daguerreotypes, soon after that we got the actual, what the hell was it called? The
caterotypes.
Calotypes.
Oh.
Calotype. Yeah, William Fox Talbot patented the calotype process. Anyway, you now had negatives.
There's daguerreotype and then caterotype.
No. Remember we were talking about ones you can just let go?
Yeah.
Really?
Touche.
So, yeah, basically once we got that and we got a system that would make negatives, now everyone could have porn and everyone could have sexy time stuff. And it just blew up from there. From there, we got film and all that stuff. And it just basically started to grow in popularity and everyone could have it. And you started to get one of the theories that I'm going to talk about later, which is there are sort of theories of repression.
And you're saying these are theories that have been espoused by governments or different art movements?
No, it's me collecting these thoughts. Yeah, this is theories that I came up with that were basically just collections of these various ways that oppression and repression happened, and they fall in different camps. So if you've got the religious repression, I guess we're skipping there. So you've got the religious repression, which is basically if God calls this sinful, if God calls this shameful, whatever God it is, we have to repress it. We can't think about it. We can't do it, even though it's a natural art that he made in us. On the other side of that coin is the society will fall apart if we do this. And they're the ones who are espousing, if we let the masses, the dirty, the plebeians, the unwashed masses have this, then society will fall apart because they won't go to their jobs and they will spread disease everywhere and blah, 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 blah.
Joke's on them. We all did that anyway.
Yeah. Didn't help you. Didn't change anything. And the funny thing is, I read many series of rich people being like, I'm going to go and read this just so that I can have the knowledge, and then I'm going to burn this book because it's shameful. It's like, yeah, bro.
I think it's okay for me, but not for you.
Right.
The thing is, though, there are justifications for some of this, right? The idea that pornography or sex in general, if it becomes more free, then all of a sudden you don't know who the father is of a child, and the family unit has to stay together, and disease will be spread. And these were fears, whether they were real or not, that were behind the repression. The repression had a purpose. It wasn't just God wants you not to do this because it's dirty. It's we're gonna have God tell you not to do these things in these books, because then this will keep the family unit together. It will incentivize you to not have sex outside of marriage. People will raise children that will then perpetuate our society.
Right.
It was strategic.
No, it was. It was absolutely a societal planning. But the problem is that it didn't work. There was even more casual bastardry. There was still prostitution. It barely kept the lid on things, and in like we were saying, in a lot of ways, created more pressure in certain situations and in certain ways and around certain topics. And the cultures that we see that do less of that, and then we'll get there in the more modern era of pornography. There's actually a lot to be spoken for like just being chill about pornography. And if it's not for you, sweet, don't ingest it, don't interact with it. But there are lots of modern studies that show that being okay with pornography, or even ingesting it, taking it in certain ways, in certain times, with certain people, there's so much more marital satisfaction rises like 40% in women who consumes pornography with their significant others, or if they just do it together, like way happier, just all kinds of things. So
I'm feeling much better about my porn habits now.
I'm telling you,
this is for the goods of society. I got to keep spanking it.
I was waving a little flag. It was very hard to do one-handed.
This is great. I like the direction we're going. I appreciate this episode. It's making me feel better.
Good.
Crystal said, it's so weird to me that they used to have adult showings at special theaters. Paul Rubens, Pee Wee Herman was arrested in one. Yes, he was. That's interesting that like, that though is not considered erotica, even though you're around other people. Yep. That's still pretty dirty.
Still pretty much porn.
Kind of gross. I think the caveat to the like, it's erotica if you're around other people and appreciating it, is if the floor is sticky, then it's porn.
You've got to have cleaning habits that are on par.
If everybody keeps in their pants and they just look at it and they just get erect and then they go home, that's erotica.
Yeah.
If there's emissions,
there's emissions. Yikes. But back to where I was.
Jody talked about, we will create cornflakes to suppress those desires.
Yes. The Quakers, the Quaker cereals. Yes. Kellogg.
Yes.
My apologies. So anyway, going back to this situation, those theories, the ones that I sort of came up with, were just conglomerations of schools of thought of why pornography or erotic art shouldn't exist, or why it should be very tightly monitored and that kind of stuff. And it's just, they ended up just being dumb. The only one that had some slight argument to it was the evolution, what I call the evolutionary side of it, which is we have to limit this because otherwise there will be kids who are born without fathers, or single mothers, or just orphans everywhere, and diseases will spread and blah, blah, blah. Modern studies have shown that that's true to an extent. They found that if you are uneducated about sex and you use sex as though it's like an instructional video, then yeah, it spreads much more easily because you don't use condoms, you don't use protection, because that's not what's depicted there. And you don't think about the fact that those people are getting tested for STIs 12 times in a month. Like that's not what's taught. You're just like, I don't know anything about sex. These people are doing it that way. That's the way I should do it. So when ignorance is paired with pornography, yes, you do get more diseases, and you do get more like issues with diseases spreading. But if you pair sex with sex education, then it's not a problem.
That's also the problem with repression, right? Like if you live in a society where no one wants to talk about sex, but everyone's watching porn because people still like to engage in sex and things, but they don't understand it, then that seems like that's going to lead to more problems. Whereas if there is, an open discussion about what you're watching and whether or not that's normal and reproducible, so to speak, and reasonable. Anal is a great example. Like when I was younger, that wasn't in porn everywhere, and like people weren't doing it really,
unless you were in Europe.
Yeah, I guess in Europe. Now it's just like everybody just expects that that's normal. The level of aggression in porn is much higher than it was when I was younger, and I would say that has translated into a lot of people having rough sex. And I don't know if that's a bad thing or a good thing. It certainly can be a bad thing if people aren't being safe about it and aren't educated about it.
Right.
But that definitely is an Overton window shift. There are certainly a lot more people just being randomly choked in the bedroom than there were, I think, when I was younger, because it just wasn't being depicted. You didn't see pornography where people were getting slapped around or choked. And now like that is like, where they start. That's where like kink starts.
I don't necessarily agree, but one of the things that the points that the research that I read made was, yes, there have been some broadening of and a more acceptance of certain kinks and certain sexualities. At the same time, there's also a hell of a lot more focus on consent, and a lot more of like, well, we both decide we want to do this. Cool.
There's more discussion of consent. Yeah. Do you think that there's more actual?
This is from the porn, the people in porn themselves. Nina Hartley, Sophie D.
But also, don't you think that because of the Overton window shifting, like people might consent to something because they think it's normalized and they're supposed to do it.
Well, that's a theory. I can't back anything up. But that's a supposition. All I can go is off the stuff that I've read that had doctors' names.
All I can go is off of
the porn that I've read,
off of my algorithm, which is that everybody enjoys the choking. That's all I'm saying.
That was you, bro. I didn't bring up choking at all.
Is that not what you watched like 90% of the time?
No. That was one of the things that actually struck me as funny doing all of this research. Boy, were my arms tired. Was that
I just researched porn. And
boy, are my arms tired. Yep. So the thing that I found was that my inner sexual like preference is for a hell of a lot more fantasy and like situational. It was much more towards like I tended much more towards Penthouse and like, you know, oh, you're a news anchor and suddenly want to have sex or whatever.
That's so cute.
Yeah.
This was 1977.
No, I mean, it's been going on,
Is
bro.
there still Penthouse?
Yes.
Okay.
But anyway.
You're like, my credit card says there is.
I will not be ashamed of this.
My subscription.
So the whole point is that everybody has their own different things. And one of the things, I think the reason why I struggled the most with this erotic art versus pornography is that the pornography that I like to ingest or like to consume is much more on the sort of fantasy and fantasy in the Freudian way, which is where it's pH, where there's a story behind it and there's things going on and there's a situational reason why these two people want to hook up and it might be slightly taboo, but it's nice. Like, I'm not into the like choke me, beat me shit because I'm just like, that just makes me uncomfortable. I don't want to hurt you. Okay. I want the opposite of that. So
it's nice. You're sweet. You're sweet.
Are you seriously trying to shame me because I don't want to choke someone?
You sweet summer child. Not even a little bit of slappy?
No, I mean, I'll slap an ass. But anyway, the whole point is that there are so many different routes and ways that people find eroticism and erotic art and pornography.
Joey said Duncan loves a storyline. Is that it? Do you like there to be like you need there to be a build up and
there has to be some reason why those two people are in that area doing engaging.
See the meat cute?
Yeah, I want something. I can't have just like two people. Fuck. Damn. Like, it's like
I need a narrative arc before they start penetrating each other. But then I do want them to do that.
You do a lot. Maybe a little choking.
See, the truth comes out. He's like, I need there to be a reason for the choking. She has to have wronged him, or I'm not into it.
Nuns be fucking up. So anyway,
this is the king of tangents.
Yes. Oh my God. We've wandered off so far off the beaten path.
I think we were still at daguerreotypes, and now
we'd gone into actually producing negatives of the pictures. But anyway, after that, just to tie it all back in, after that we started getting photography with negatives, it was much, much easier to possess and much, much easier to produce and much, much cheaper. And then from there we went to video. And there was lots
then
of
also some people had their own dark rooms and stuff because then you could like do your own erotic photography. You didn't have to take it to fucking Walgreens.
Nope. I mean, you could do like, it was just that much easier. And so people started experimenting with like motion pictures and like, is it pornography? And that's where they started weirding out into erotic art again. Cause it was like, if there's a woman, using crutches over wooden trestles of a bridge, is that porn or is that art? Like, what does that mean to you?
You mean a naked woman?
Yeah, a naked woman with just crutches going over the trestles of a bridge.
I was like, just a woman with crutches going over trestles. I knew you had weird kinks. That's very disturbing. But you're saying so like a naked woman with crutches? Was this a thing you saw?
No, I saw something different, but that's what came to mind. I was just picking random shit out of my mind and the pictures that I saw and was like, like it looked artsy to me. Yeah. It was black and white. There was like, things going on that were not like, woo, yeah. You were just like, what the fuck are you
Anyone doing like normal things naked to me is immediately like not erotic.
No, it's not sexy.
I don't understand that.
Yeah. And there was a woman whose whole thesis, I can't remember her name, but she does a whole line of pictures of her just naked doing shit that is normal, like mowing her lawn or driving her car to work. And she's naked. And you're like, oh, weird. This isn't erotic at all.
Nudist colonies are the least appealing. Like, even if there's attractive people, which typically there isn't.
Nope.
But every once in a while, there's like an attractive person, but they're like playing volleyball. Everything's moving in the wrong ways. And
that just looks like it hurts. Don't jump like that. Ow.
Just sunburned. And it's nothing erotic about just the naked body doing normal ass shit.
Yeah.
It's just very like, and there's nothing wrong with it. totally fine, but it's not arousing at all.
No, I mean, if you're cooking barbecue naked,
But
I'm
that's-
not like, woo, that's hot. I'm like, I hope you don't burn yourself.
But that's what's so weird is that would still be considered by Christianity or whatever, like the Puritans. That's not okay to be naked doing things, but that's not erotic. It's not. They should let people do that because then everyone would be like, all right, I don't really want to. When you got home with your wife or whatever, you'd be like, I just need to go to bed. My eyes hurt.
I have a headache.
I had a rough day of looking at jiggle. It's just I don't want to see your jiggling. No more jiggle.
But anyway, so sorry to go on all these tangents, but basically where we end up now is that ever since they started doing actual longitudinal studies in the early 2000s and early tween thousands, we got longitudinal studies that showed things like, I was already saying, like there's no real good connection between pornography and domestic violence. There's no real good connection between pornography and the breakdown of the family structure or family values. There's no connection between a bunch of these things that used to be rattled on by puritanical people, and it's just not there. It's just not there. There are a bunch of actually people who are like, look, who are psychologists who are like, look, man, saying that people get addicted to porn is kind of a weird thing because if you drink and then you stop, you will go into DTs. If you watch porn and you stop, basically all you're going to do is be like, man, I miss my Pornhub. Like you don't go into a physical withdrawal. So well,
there's a difference between a physical addiction and a mental addiction.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. Like if there's people arguing at this point about that, then we're so far from this, like porn causes murderers. Because remember in the 70s and the 60s, pornographic consumption, they were like, that's what gave us Ed Kemper. Like, no, it fucking didn't.
Well, we've talked about this. It's very similar to the video game argument of like violence in video games and stuff. And I think the question is, does it affect people who are more sensitive and maybe on the cusp? Is there a triggering aspect for people who maybe already have a problem? I think there's very little argument these days that if you're a normal, well-adjusted human, violence in video games or pornography is going to send you off the deep end and you're going to go crazy. That's not going to happen. If you are a disturbed individual who is struggling and certain things are normalized by video games and you saturate yourself with violence in video games and all you do is watch horror movies and all you do is watch violent porn, is that making things worse? And I think there would be an argument that yes, that is.
The only thing they've found in those situations isn't that it incites it. You already have the desire to do it. It just informs how you do it. So that's why
makes it more likely that you'll do it. That might be the case.
Nope. If they're going to do it, they're going to do it. That seems to be the study, is if you're going to do it, you're going to do it. It's just how you choose to do it. If you're watching tons of GTA and, gun stuff, you're going to go off and shoot up a fucking movie theater because you see that in your head and you're like, oh, I can just go do that. I want to do like that.
If you hadn't played any of those games or watching those things,
you would have killed somebody.
Shot something else.
Yeah, you would have shot somebody or stabbed somebody or done something.
I mean, there's no study that could possibly tell us that.
Nope. But it's definitely, there's more information out there that's showing that there's no correlation between that, and there's anecdotal evidence, but there's no hard correlation between people who ingest pornography or violent video games or any of that shit in large amounts and violence. There just isn't. There's no correlation. Do violent people do that? Sure. But there are plenty of theories and there are plenty of studies that actually say they're doing it to blow off steam.
I think one argument for that is that like the 1970s was kind of the height of serial killers and we did not have internet porn. You would think that when everyone has access to the most intense and extreme porn for free all the time, that there would be a ton more serial killers and a ton more crazy people. But at the same time, you can't get away with the shit that you could get away with in the 70s. If we didn't have DNA evidence right now and constant surveillance, would there be more serial killers? So it's hard to say. It's a different time. Right. But I see your point.
So that basically brings us to the end of my bumbling attempt to give us a somewhat historical look at pornography. And like I said, I probably missed a lot, and I tried to make it funny and informative.
The first porn movie.
Well, I mean, Deep Throat and all those movies.
Talk about porn in the theaters. You didn't go into that?
No, because we all know what porn in theaters were. We all know that the first, major pornographic movie was actually the very first time that sex was performed on camera was the Campbell Soup guy, the artist who did the Campbell Soup painting.
Pop art, Warfield, not
Yeah, Andy Warfield, Andy Warhol. Yeah, Andy Warhol. He actually did it's called the Blue Movie, and it's the first time that people explicitly had sex on camera.
Not the first time that people had sex on camera.
It's the first one that had any sort of out there-nicity, like people broad spectrum saw it.
Okay, that seems very questionable. There is classic, like it was like right around the time people were talking about the first movie being that horse. It was like as soon as that happened, then people were fucking on camera.
But they weren't fucking. They were touching each other or doing things, but there was no penetrative sex.
Okay,
because it took too long.
Somebody feel free to look that up.
Feel free to fact check me, but that's what
hard to believe.
That's what I read, and that's what I know about. I know the first major pornographic movie to get widescreen, recognition.
Was it Deep Throat or Behind the Green Door?
It was behind. It was Deep Throat and then Green Door, I think.
Okay, we're gonna have to do a follow-up episode at some point of modern pornography, because I think it would be really interesting to do like porn basically once, because you did sort of everything from like ancient porn up until it became mass produced
porn. Yeah.
But I think it would be interesting to do like porn from basically movies to the internet.
I would do it from magazines to the internet.
And also, I would like to know for your next one, what kind of attempts have there been to stamp out porn? I know there have been like anti-obscenity laws. There have been a lot of
there were two things. There was a British version that I can't remember it, but there was a British.
Well, the Supreme Court has tackled it. I mean, there was famously one of the Supreme Court justices said, "I can't define pornography, but I know when I see it."
Right. And there've been like entire tribunals that the British made, and it was like they had a bureau for it. And then there was also that in America, we did try do something similar, but it kept running up against
obviously communist countries and stuff. They're very
right
oppressive, and it would be interesting to know sort of how. It would be interesting to know how religion, for instance, various religions are dealing with the internet and internet porn,
right?
And I'm curious, like if you are a Muslim right now, or if you are someone who is maybe Church of Latter-day Saints, you're not supposed to be watching porn. But like, what are the statistics? I wonder how many of them are and what's going on. It'd be interesting to kind of look at the modern porn too.
Okay, well, I can do that next time. But yeah, it was hard enough doing this because I was like, how do I focus? What the fuck do I put it on? Oh my god! And then I'm out of Lubriderm, so I had to stop.
Your arms are too tired.
Arms too tired. No more lube.
I mean, I'm really fascinated by the culture of people going to fuck films, like seeing them with other people. It was so weird. When I was in college, did you go that night that we went and saw that 3D porn movie?
No,
probably like 13 of us or something went to this movie, and we put on glasses and everything, and and let me tell you, it was a visceral experience.
Yeah, probably nauseating.
I've never experienced a facial before, and I certainly feel like I have now. But it also was very awkward. Like we thought it was gonna be funny. We all had like a beer or something. We weren't like wasted, but just a little bit. And like sitting in a room full of people watching hardcore pornography, like straight up the kind of stuff you're watching now, was so uncomfortable. Like we all left and we're just like, ooh, did not enjoy that.
Nope, never
not
again.
At all. Like, and I wasn't aroused. I will say, like, I was just uncomfortable and like very. I didn't feel dirty like it was wrong. I felt dirty like I wanted to not be there. Like it just, I needed to go and scrub everything, including the movie theater.
Lots of movie theater scrubbing. Yeah. I get it. I think that has a lot to do with crossing that boundary in your head between this is what I do alone and this is what I do with friends. And those two things very, very few times will meet.
I wonder if it would have been less awkward if they had all been strangers. If it was like the O'Farrell Theater or whatever, downtown San Francisco. I remember when I was a kid.
I remember the Pussycat Theater in Oakland.
Yeah, I remember like when I was a kid, there were these things, I think, or at least they were still there as a remnant.
Yeah.
And maybe if I'd gone to something like that and been around strangers and we don't make eye contact or something, but like being there with your friends it was horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible.
I do not understand. I do not understand people who watch porn like in groups, because you'll see it occasionally, like, guys just sitting around watching porn. I'm like, what is wrong with you?
Weird.
Stop.
Yeah.
Stop that. Play a video game.
And not because it's like, homophobic panic or something. It's just uncomfortable.
Well, yeah, why do it? I don't get it. I don't want to have wood near my friends, and I don't even like going to strip clubs. But again, I like I said, doing this research, it brought me up against a lot of my own shit. It's just like, that's interesting. I do need some sort of fantasy edge and story behind it. Otherwise, I'm just not into it. I do really have a problem with like watching porn. I couldn't do it with wifeness.
We
tried
what I would consider to be sort of stereotypically feminine views of porn, because that is the stereotype is that women need a narrative. Women need there to be some connection between the characters. They don't want to typically see like really hardcore stuff. But I don't think that holds true. I think that's just individual people have different preferences. Yeah. You just happen to be kind of a bitch.
And there you have it.
That was fun.
All right. So thank you all for joining me on my bumbling journey into pornography. I really appreciate it. Thank you for giving me the outlet to do it. I swear I will get better at this as time goes on. And then, as per usual, and forever after,
knowledge is power.
Sleep is overrated.